Right. Beautiful. Yes. Now, listen, it's a little early in the morning. Okay. Hello. What's up? It's a little early in the morning, and that's a beautiful thing. Is it Saturday? It's Sunday. It's Sunday. And we're gonna have some fun. I encountered this video from a user called I'd Love to Go Live. She's a new user. Shout out to her because, it's content like this that allows us to have conversations because, you know, people who have reason, people who care about the truth, they look around at the world and they realize so much of the wickedness and the chaos and stuff that goes on, and they try to figure out how they think, right? Like why they think the ways they do. And this video, I mean, it's just really incredible because it these types of things, they show the kind of conversation that we've been having since antiquity. And I'm going to bring us to an ultimate conclusion at the end. And this is going to be I'm going to warn you, this is going to be a repetitive story, and this is going to be a repetitive conclusion on this page, on this channel, and generally in life. And you know let's get into it. So the video is about Stoicism versus hedonism. Okay. Now, um, part of her inspiration about speaking about this Stoicism versus hedonism thing is really her own disdain for the manosphere. She notes that the manosphere has greatly misconstrued ideas of Stoicism. And I take it that much of this is part of the reason why she's a bit averse to stoicism. Now, I also want to say though that I think that's a little bit BS, because you already have to be against stoicism or whatever stoicism is. You have to be against what that is from the beginning to be against it. Okay. Um, you know and the thing is, she says two very key things in this video. Okay, first of all, the first thing, one of the main things that she says is that she's an amateur philosopher. That's number one. She's an amateur philosopher. She actually says she doesn't know really. She says she's a beginner of stoic thought. Okay, which is ironic. And very much needed, because you really can't speak to the essence of Stoic thought if you really don't understand what it is, why it is, and the why is why it has become so important to people. And just really quickly before I get into the second point, the reason why Stoicism has become such an important name or label for people is because it is identified as a sort of label for people to understand, oh, okay, boom. So this is kind of what it is of the thing that I'm not trying to pursue. Because, even in the sense of saying, okay, well, hedonism, right? Like hedonism encompasses a whole, other sort of personality where, you might call it leftism, or you might call it, being a Democrat, or you might call it being a progressive, a liberal, you know what I mean? A radical left lunatic, or whatever it is that they want to call it. So anyway, let's back up. I said that the first point is that she says that she's a beginner philosopher. Sorry, a beginner of Stoic thought and an amateur philosopher. But also the other point is just, simply that she doesn't like Stoicism. So um, now I'm gonna use some of her points, okay? And this is really critical, okay? Because the chief frustration of people who think is that other people who claim to think are really, like some of them, like Christopher Hitchens said it himself. Christopher Hitchens says that his problem with liberals, right? And mind you, he's not a Christopher Hitchens is somebody who was on the left. Okay, he said that conservatives, the issue with conservatives, his parents were conservatives and they didn't really get anything out of it, and he saw that for himself as a child. So when he became more active, when he was trying to get active in philosophical, political writing work and stuff like that, he went to the left uh, to 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 get help and to gain advancement. But he says that the problem with liberals is that they want it both ways. Okay. And those both ways that he is referring to is that they both want to be able to say that they can be mindless, right? And have no responsibility and be able to just sit back and relax and have nothing, right? Be hedonistic, say that they have no reason and all this type of stuff, or that reason is not that important. It shouldn't be in the mental, but that simultaneously, they should be, you know, active and democratic, or have their opinions feel like it matters, in realms of democratic discourse or philosophical discourse and things of that nature. Like this woman said, she doesn't really know anything about Stoic philosophy or Stoicism. And again, I have to stress this point that Stoicism itself is a relief for people. It is something to find. Okay, hedonism is really the default, right? Kind of like how being born a woman is the default. It takes work. It is a certain extra kind of thing you have to realize is there, because really what it does is it affirms your capacity to reason and to think, and things of that nature, to see the experience and what is going on in this world, right? And to realize, oh, okay, there are other people who are talking about this. There are other people who have seen what I have seen and who have been able to deal with it in these certain, particular ways. So anyway, let's dig deeper into this, these ideas that, being highlighted about the Stoics, okay? That the primary virtues of the Stoics is wisdom, or are wisdom, courage, justice, temperance. That these are absolutes for virtuosity. Now, let me also just have it be known. Now, yes, I have read the works of Marcus Aurelius. I have read works of Plato. I have read works of Aristotle. I have read works from various thinkers, throughout all time. However, I do not itemize, all of these thoughts in the way that, well, hedonists, I would say, tend to. Hedonists tend to be more, I would say, or really probably people in general, but hedonists in general seem to be way more wrapped up in the labels of things, whereas Stoicism is more about, or if it's supposed to be, I don't know, because I wouldn't consider myself to be a Stoic. You know what I mean? Like that's the whole misconstruing with the manosphere situation, because the manosphere is not necessarily saying that they are Stoics, per se. They're just identifying that Stoicism does embody many of the principles, many of the attitudes, and just generally, mindset of what they see of the world and really what they want out of the world. Um, but anyway, the point that I'm making is that I don't necessarily subscribe to being a Stoic. I do not necessarily say that, oh, I am a Stoic. I am not wrapped up in the labels that you create of what it is to be a human being. I just live and I do what I do and I just notice things. And of course, because time is a factor, right? And I do have the capacity to interpret and I do have the capacity to reason, as we all do. Um, then I see, the things that resonate with me. I see the things that, and I just see the world, right? Like I appreciate much more of the world than just what I experience. There are other people who have experienced this earth before me, and so I respect my elders. I respect my predecessors. I respect that which has been laid before me because I did not create it. I did not think about. I had no hand in the grass and the dirt and the buildings and the animals, even the animals, we come from, different parents, and all other people around me. So anyway, um I say this because it's nice, right? It's nice for, this lady to go ahead and lay out the primary virtues and vices of Stoicism, and really to be able to highlight the high level of hypocrisy that revolves around what it means to be a hedonist, and really just generally to be somebody who denies truth. And yeah, we're trust me, we're gonna be passing through that lane a number of times here. But anyway, these virtues of wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance are things that can be accessed through mastery of the passions, the emotions, and use of the intellect, right? Now, she also lays out these five vices, or sorry, four vices, right, which are folly, cowardice, injustice, and intemperance. These are the things that the Stoics have gone ahead and taken the time out to label as being, things that are, uh, yeah, vices. You know what I'm saying? Problems of the human condition. I mean, yeah, why would you want to be a coward? Why would you want to be unjust? Why would you want to, be so irrationally emotional that you just act out? Because certainly, we have seen where you can be right. You can be right as right. You know what I'm saying? 1,000% right. But if you completely just flip out in a context and you don't have any sort of patience or you don't have any sort of control over yourself, then you can be looked at as the lunatic, right? And have everybody not on your side. Okay. So, and again, right, like these little things, these little nuances and things about, what it means to be a part of the world, right, the social world of civilization. These are the types of things that stoics or reasonable people are taking into account when they're going through and living their lives and seeing how life is. Um so um anyway so we have these little subcategories that she gives. So she talks about the passions, right? That these vices are rooted in passion. And passion is the impulse that I speak of, right? In my prior video, I talk about envy, which is one of those passions. It is an impulse. The envy impulse is natural. Like you can't control the feeling that you get, or a feeling that you may get when you notice somebody's faster than you, or you notice somebody's stronger than you, or you notice somebody's smarter than you, or you notice somebody's prettier than you, or whatever or they seem more able, or whatever, they speak well, whatever the case. You can't control that feeling coming upon you. However, as you grow up and you realize in general, or whatever, like you're able to talk through it or whatever, you see, you have other people around you who can tell you about yourself, who can tell you about the thing that you're experiencing. You come to realize that it is a choice and that you must be disciplined, that no, you cannot act out in every single little situation, because you will and should be destroyed for interfering so greatly for no reason into something, all because of the fact that you're jealous and or you're envious, or you have some impulse within you that you feel like you can't control. No, you can control it. No, you can absolutely control it. And man, I'm jumping the gun a little bit here to say this, but she talks about the place where reasoning is. She says that, well, it's about whether the reasoning is in your mind or if the reasoning is in your body. No. See, she mentions and talks about how the Stoics will say that the Stoics acknowledge that, yes, sensation, as the quote, sensation is the root of reasoning, right? Or that sensation comes before reasoning. Yes, absolutely. This is all true. Sensation comes before reasoning. But Stoicism, right, acknowledges that, yes, we do have the capacity to look beyond just the initial sensation, because we do. I mean, just look at the simple fact of how we've been able to survive for hundreds of thousands of years. Do you think we've been able to survive for hundreds of thousands of years because we were able to, because we were looking at our bodies and going, well, I guess I feel fear right now, and that's the true feeling that I feel. So I'm just going to continue to be fearful. You're going to fucking die. Like, you're going to die. You're going to be attacked. The animal's going to smell the fear on you, or whatever the case may be. You're going to be inactive and all of that type of shit, and you're going to die. You're going to get attacked, and that's going to be it. Hedonism is not, or this attitude beyond hedonism, this, well, I'm going to do what my body feels. You would have died in the wild. You would not have been, you were useless. You were completely useless then. We are in such a spoiled position right now, you know what I mean? And an immature position because of these people who have been able to live lives, where they don't really have to think about anything but themselves. And look, All power to you, okay? All power to you. I don't know what it is. There is definitely something there that is being able to support you by not thinking too deeply into certain things. There's something that's definitely there. But at the end of the day, uh these people have no business being taken seriously, being regarded as legitimate or anything like that in worldly matters or in matters that don't pertain to anything beyond them. These people should be enslaved, subordinated. These people want to be used. They do not want to critically think. They do not want to have reason. You know what I mean? Like I don't understand. I just so anyway, so with these vices, right? You have the passions, okay? And the Stoics identify these most dominant emotions, which are pain, fear, desire, and pleasure. Okay? So now in pain, you have pity, envy, jealousy, rivalry, heavy-heartedness, annoyance, chagrin, anguish, and confusion, saying that these passions can be governed by taking a rational stance. So again, right, like envy can be dealt with rationality. It can be jealousy can be dealt with rationality. Rivalry can be dealt with rationality, meaning I can respect you still as a person. We may be competition for each other, but I can still respect the fact that you are a formidable foe, that you do supply that competition. um Heavy-heartedness, you don't have to be so stuck in your feelings and in your emotions, in your depression and stuff like that, right? Like it all does come to pass, right? Same thing with annoyance, right? Whatever it is that you're dealing with, how long really do you have to deal with it? At some point, it may expire on its own, or you can simply remove yourself. You can put yourself into different environments and things of that nature. Same thing with confusion. Why are you confused? You can ask questions. Pity. Even I'll go ahead and I'll address pity. Pity can be dealt with a rational stance because yeah, right. Like for example, just because somebody may be crying or somebody may have been placed in a position to experience pain, to feel pain. What is the reason why they are put into that situation? Are they truly immediately deserving of pity? You know what I mean? Just because of the fact that they're crying or they're sad or somebody's inflicting punishment upon them. Fear. So in fear, you have terror, shrinking, shame, shock, panic, and dread, saying that these can be governed by a steady mind. Yes, terror and shrinking and shame and shock and panic, all of these things can be dealt with by being able to, okay, hold on, let me try to manage it. What is it that I'm being fearful about? You know what I'm saying? Do I really need to be fearful right now? Black guy walks up, you know what I mean? And there's a stereotype in society that, oh, the black man or whatever, this guy, you never know what we was kings, never did none. I heard these people kill each other and kill people and stuff like this, right? But, everybody kills people. Everybody has the ability to kill people. Everybody has the ability to, be perceived as a threat. So what is it that I can actually get out of the situation? Again, a steady mind, what is there to actually be revealed? Desire, which is defined as an irrational yearning. These things involve craving, hatred, conscientiousness, anger, erotic passion, wrath, temper. Now, I want us to know, right? Because even in her explaining, breaking down these subcategories, the passions, the vices, the virtues, she very clearly skipped over these certain things, and that's what these people tend to do. They do skip over certain things. They pick and choose what they want to uh take accountability for. They pick and choose, what it is that they want to actually reason with, because it is clear that when you do use your mind, when you do take the time out to try to express yourself, you will be able to prove to yourself whether or not you sound like an idiot. And so now that I've gone ahead and I revealed one of the little names, right? I've revealed one of these little things that we point out, right? About being an idiot or stupid or a pedophile or a dummy or a retard or a faggot or whatever the thing is, right? Like with these different names and stuff like this that you say have been pointed out, because she says the Stoics have been they name call and like all this type of stuff. I mean, everybody name calls, okay? But talking about the names that the Stoics bring up is because when you are talking about the amount of time that you have on this earth and the amount of exposures that you can have on this earth and the things that are going on, it's like, how do you not see the things that you see, but yet at the same time you want to be taken seriously when it comes down to trying to reason something, right? Especially when it comes down to you trying to reason something, you're not really reasoning uh with reasoning. Like you're actually defending something. Like you're trying not to say those certain things that you know would simply defeat your argument. Like, and it's just really wild because for somebody who is empathic, right, or is accountable, or is virtuous, or is conscientious, they would say, oh well, okay, you're right. Damn. Maybe I'm wrong. Okay, maybe I got to readjust my thinking. But these people don't do that. These people don't do that. They for some reason you just they can never just back down. They can never just back off of whatever it is that they think. Even when they are speaking out loud and disproving themselves out loud, they can never ever say, "Oh, you know what? Damn, I sound kind of dumb. I sound kind of immature. I sound like I'm advocating for pedophilia. I sound like I'm advocating for all type of wickedness and chaos and debauchery. Hmm. Damn. Maybe I need to chill." They don't do that. Like they don't do that. So anyway, desire. Now she doesn't really, and again, right, she doesn't go into how the desires can be dealt with in terms of these irrational yearnings and all this. But again, the point is that the cravings. I'll give you a simple one with dealing with the desires of craving and hatred and erotic passion. It's realizing that you cannot always have what you want. Okay, like point blank period. Like that's a keystone part of being alive. You cannot always have what you want. I mean, shit, I mean, right now, I want to have a general awareness in civilization of a persistent reality, where people are truthful, right, and we have as much peace as possible, and minimize unnecessary chaos, not absolute um uh not absolute removal of it, because I don't think that's possible, right? I mean, as much as I would love for it to be, right, maybe if I could be as lofty as the hedonist or whatever, right, then I would say, oh no, we are absolutely capable of having no chaos, of having no unrest, of having no wickedness, and yada yada yada. Then maybe I could be more like the hedonist, but no, I realize I cannot have that. We cannot have. There are always going to be all type of just different kinds of people, and you have to respect that. You have to understand that. You have to learn that people come from different backgrounds, and this is another critical point about Christopher Hitchens. I'm gonna definitely have to make a video on Christopher Hitchens and the things that I think about him. But when it comes down to like I said, this aspect of uh things that you cannot have right now, you know um uh uh and wanting things both ways. Like you cannot, you have to grow up. Okay, like that's the point that I'm making. I probably just lost that whole Christopher Hitchens thing. It'll probably come back, but the point is that we cannot always have what we want. And the fact that these people have been permitted to be in a position to think that they can have whatever they want is just mind-boggling. And again, this is this is the part again, right, that people have had to find in stoicism, that makes stoicism attractive to them, that makes stoicism so appealing. It is the understanding of, oh, okay, yes, you're right. I do have to deal with it. I can have a better understanding of of the world based off of the things that have been laid before me and people who have already thought about these things, because for whatever reason, yes, we have been allowing the propagation of these hedonists who have no accountability, no, excuse me, they have accountability, but they just refuse to acknowledge their accountability, etc., etc. And the final passion, though, here we have is pleasure, which is encapsulated with enchantment, spite, delight, and rapture, and saying that these are governed by the intellect in order to lead to a moderate, temperate, virtuous life. Okay, so she says that the virtuous, or the Stoics, are free from their passions, not because they don't exist, but because they are not controlled by them and disposed by them, that they have the freedom to act independently, and that this rising above allows for self-improvement, that the Stoic is an impartial judge, and that they have a certain distance from opinion. So now again, I want to highlight that her saying this is also important because she says later on again, right? She tries to bring up the point about sensation coming before reason. Hold on, let me see. All reason is derived from sensation. It's like, and saying that, okay, Epicurus made this statement, okay, is like, you've literally directly addressed what Stoics are saying. We know that the sensation is there. We know that the sensation comes first. You know what I'm saying? But the point is that we have the ability to reason. We do have the ability to, I guess you would call it, astrally project ourselves, in order to make certain decisions. You know what I mean? And here's also kind of part of that other point that I was making, which is, she makes this point to say that, oh well, stoicism has been the dominant mindset, as opposed to hedonism. That hedonism has always been considered unpopular and immoral and things of that nature. Which, first of all, I mean, the simple fact that you could hear about something and say that it's immoral, and know that people say it's not good, it's immoral and stuff, but you still look at yourself and you say, I like that. I think I resonate with this a little bit more. Like, that already, like, just shows that you're a devil. Like, you're subscribing to something that is, clearly not good. You know what I mean? You're being permitted to employ this mindset, and further, I wanted to make the point that that's not right. Like, that's completely incorrect. You know, first and foremost, if stoicism has been the dominant um philosophy, right? Or if stoicism has been the dominant practice in society, we wouldn't have so many idiots. You would be subjugated. Actually, I don't even think you in particular would be able to have the ability to have voiced your opinion so strongly out here in public, to embarrass yourself and to show how how do we say, dumb you are. If trust, I strongly believe that if stoicism were actually the more higher practice in public, that people who deserve to be slaves would be slaves. You know what I mean? It wouldn't be a stereotype. It wouldn't be all of this, yada yada yada. No, you are making the express decision to abandon your ability to reason, and so we would be doing with you what is necessary. So stoicism definitely has not been the prevailing ideology in public society. In fact, and I couldn't even say 100% that hedonism per se has been the more dominant prevailing ideology, but I don't know, because I don't really use the names and all of the labels and things like this. However, I can easily say though that the attitudes of hedonism have been more prevailing in our society, clearly, because, I mean, for example, mass consumerism, generally how we've been allowing our society to subscribe to these ideas of body dysmorphia and questioning your sexuality and making everybody else accept that and all this type of stuff. Like, no, stoicism is about order. Stoicism is about, you see, she keeps mentioning this, this idea of unchanging and finding a certain stillness and stuff like this, right? So that you can be content, within yourself, or whatever the case may be. And denying what this is, the unchanging and still reality that brings us peace is the fact that there is an irrevocable, steady reality. There is a steady truth that we all live under. Okay? And if anything, Einstein has already proven this, but with his special theory of relativity, by saying that the speed of light is the same for all observers no matter where they are. Okay? Like, that the entire point of that theory is that there is an everlasting truth. There is an everlasting reality. We all live on the same deterministic plane with deterministic laws. Hedonists think that they can get away from this. Okay, why? Because they're selfish. They think that their personal feelings, are more important than everybody else's. But, whatever. We'll go ahead and we'll allow you to be. Oh yeah, and another point on this stoicism and hedonism thing, right? Because she mentions Epicurus and things of this nature, right? So, and talking about, well, I can't. Epicurus has incredibly modest views on hedonism. He was probably the most conservative of the hedonists and all this type of stuff. And everybody, all these other philosophers are talking about how much they dislike Epicurus and all this type of stuff. Well, but here's the thing, right? Most of Epicurus's works can't even be found. They've been destroyed, much like what happened to Aristotle, and Plato and other great works of history. We can't even really speak on the type of things that so many other great philosophers have come out and talked about. Even Marcus Aurelius himself, right? Because I've read Marcus Aurelius's Meditations. Um, and I've read Epictetus, who's also spoken against Epicurus, right? Talking about how detestable the things are that Epicurus stands for and stuff like this. We don't even have enough proof to be able to say the things that Epicurus said. You know what I mean? Because they have been destroyed over the course of history. You know what I mean? So you don't even really know the 100% what you're subscribing to when you say that, oh, this and that about, Epicurus and all this type of stuff, right? However, when you do come out here and we see in the present, for example, that again, like, you'll subscribe to the idea of these people who they condone homosexuality, they condone molesting children and touching children and things of this nature, ending their bloodlines irrationally and all this type of stuff by deliberately going against the natural order of the universe and things of that nature. It's like, it's pretty clear what you're subscribing to with this hedonism thing, because that's what these people would say. They'll say, oh, well, I'm operating off of what my body feels, right? I'm operating off of what I think is right and all this type of stuff, because this is what's in my body and stuff like this. And then at the same time, they're subscribing to the use of other people also doing this when it involves other people. You know what I mean? And what I'm speaking about is, like, for example, they say Islam. They say Islam very much advocates for, this attitude behind, oh, well, people like pain. People enjoy their pain. They want to live in pain because the pain allows them to have their pleasure. And the lady in this video, she does speak about this as well. I'll touch on that briefly, here. But again, right, this desire for pain, because then it allows us to create a sort of pleasure. Look, it's okay if that's how you think. Then just know, and that's how you want to be. That is like your prevailing argument for why you should be treated like a slave, for why you are meaningless, worthless, for at least in terms of having a seat at the table with rulers, with people who actually help to engineer this world. We're trying to make sense of it. We try to give you sense. We try to help you with reason. We try to help you with, like, understanding the world, and you don't want to take it. Okay, you don't want to take it? All right. Well, take this then. You feel me? Thwack, 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 thwack. Ordered around all of this type of shit. Like, bro, like there's so much work that has been done. You know what I mean? There's so much work that has been done to help people to self-actualize, to realize their full potential. And don't get me wrong, these things should never ever stop. There should always be plenty of opportunities for people to realize the power that is within them. But for those of us who want to make the deliberate decision to be waste, you know what I mean? They should be waste. Okay? The Matrix, or the again, the enslavement and all this living in a bubble type of thing. Okay, you can live in your bubble, you can have that bubble, but when we come over here and we have this seat at the table, right, then you aren't at this table. You know what I mean? Especially since you exclude everybody else from your table, right? You exclude the ability to reason. You deliberately, she's literally talking about, this thing with the reasoning. And I want to highlight that too with this other point that she makes really quick. She makes this point by saying, uh she says, the whole concept behind she says that the whole concept behind uh choicefully eating certain foods that positively impact your mental health, or the understanding that certain foods impact your mental health, is a hedonist view. No, it's not. Because if you're a hedonist, then, right, according to what you said, you do whatever feels right for you in your body, right? It's because of the work, if anything, it's because of the work of the Stoics who have taken the time out to even really think about, and try to articulate and explain the effects of these different things that have happened, why you even have the ability to see that different foods, you know what I mean, can affect your mental health, and meaning for you to make a democratic decision, right? On what to eat in order to maintain your mental health. Okay, you want to do your yoga and your jogging, right? And you go outside and oh well, these things all positively, affect. It's because of the work of people who are smarter than you. It's because of the work of the people who have gone out there and actually done the work and used their minds. The thing that you say that you're against, they may have felt it in their body first, right? Because that's where it starts. Right? That's the scientific method. That's part of where, your hypotheses come from, right? You have your causality, you know what I mean? Your inspiration. You have to outline what your inspiration was and what caused you to dig deeper. If you're a hedonist, you don't think deeper into that. You just do whatever your body tells you to do. And this is again part of the annoyance of the Stoics, you know what I'm saying, from the hedonists, is that they are ungrateful. They are ungrateful for what they have been given. If it were not for the work of people who do the work, who do think, you know what I'm saying, who do use reason, right? Then we would still be in the same predicament that we were before the Stone Age, bro. We wouldn't have the houses and the technology and the, you know what I'm saying? It's ungratefulness. It's wickedness. You cannot take credit for things that have been developed, you know, with the reason and all of this type of stuff. If you believe that, oh well, no, I don't really understand this whole thing with using the brain. I don't really subscribe to this whole idea of using the brain in order to make decisions and all of this type of stuff. She talks about CBT. She says she did some CBT, and that CBT in many ways is based in uh Stoicism. It has, or it has a lot of Stoic influences, and things of this nature. And that she didn't like that. Let me show you the capacity to which these devils really go to be removed from accountability, to be removed from reason. Um, she says she engaged Stoic ideas mostly through ideas and also through religion. She says that through this she lost touch with her body, that whatever feedback her body was giving her and whatever emotions she had were to be governed, not taken at face value. She came out of CBT feeling wrong about feeling whatever she felt, that she couldn't simply inquire and listen to her emotions in her body. That's because those are the passions that they need to not that they need to be not erased or dismissed, but governed. That didn't work for her, and she didn't feel any better when she tried this out. She said in her quest for objectivity, she found herself disconnected and disassociated. She doesn't believe that that was the aim. She also came away from that practice of CBT feeling like she was doing it wrong, because if she were doing it correctly, then she would feel better. Okay, let me stop you right there, for example. Okay, because it must be such a lovely privilege to be able to say that, oh, well, CBT was putting me in a predicament to have me lose touch with my body, right? And that whatever feedback her body was giving her and whatever emotions she had were to be governed. Well, how about how many of the men, of the young men who are out here, who see you beautiful as you may be, right? Or you even prove yourself in some intelligent manner, and he gets the feelings in his body that he likes you, that he's attracted to you and all this type of stuff, right? But then you reject him just because you can reject him, right? And you don't really share the same feeling. Is he supposed to rape you? Is he supposed to take you against your will and all of this type of stuff, right? Because he has to govern his feelings. He can't just, he loses touch with his body in the whole understanding that, oh, okay, well, just because I express to this, just because I feel the way that I feel, toward this girl, doesn't mean that she feels that way. And certainly, if she doesn't feel the same way that I feel about the feelings that are in my body, well, then I need to control myself. I need to, we are forced to lose touch with our body to these certain extents. Okay. Like, and especially when constantly having to deal with these kinds of things, these are the type of things that require, well, of course, yes, we have to find another realm. You know what I'm saying? Because otherwise, you'd be fucking raped. You'd be molested. If we just operated in the hedonistic form that you're saying that you advocate for, you would just get fucking raped. It would be no question. It would be no fucking question. So understand that you are operating from a certain privilege level to begin with. And men allow you to perpetuate this attitude and this idea from you being a child. It is way rougher for guys than it is for girls. And they're so insensitive as well to our predicament. Okay? So anyway, she says she came away with a lot of experience formulating an argument for how she ought to feel, what a reasonable emotional response to any given situation could be. But that was often not actually how she felt. It was a should, how she should feel. She found something that worked better for her, which was hedonism. Yeah, okay. So you came away by going through CBT, which is influenced by Stoic ideas, with a way to formulate an argument for how you ought to feel, meaning morals and ethics. You're talking about having morals and ethics, right? And saying that, okay, well, I guess I can now, talk about, morals and ethics, but I don't really like that. I want to continue to, live my life getting whatever I want. I want to continue my life getting whatever I want and being the person that I want, because that is exactly what has been fed to me my whole life, that I can have whatever I fucking want. You know what I mean? Ungrateful, ungrateful bitches, ungrateful. Okay. So anyway, blah, blah, that we still study Plato in school. Yeah, and how much are people really studying Plato in school? I mean, if people really were studying Plato in school and paying attention and stuff, I don't think that they would be thinking like this. I don't think that they would be this selfish, because they're definitely not being encouraged to read the text directly. Anyway, he says Stoicism is still quite popular. The reason I like virtue is because hedonism seeks pleasure as the greatest and most fundamental good. Why would you behave like an animal? Why would you throw away your reasoning? That's the head scratcher for the Stoics. Well, yeah, it is a head scratcher for the Stoics, because it is like, well, I don't understand why you would be a slave, but if that's what you want, I don't understand why you want to be so primal and abandon your capacity to reason and to listen and to inquire and all this type of stuff. I don't understand why you would do that. But hey, if that's what you want, then hey, I guess you can have that. You know what I mean? And that's the thing, right? Because like beyond all of this, we never have lost our capacity to have empathy for you. We have never lost our capacity to love you, to consider you, to be considerate of you, and all of these types of things. We've never ever abandoned that. You know what I mean? But for you, you can easily abandon that. You can easily just say, no, you're thinking too far. You're trying to make me accountable for my feelings. No, I need to be able to have my feelings. I need to, you know what I mean? You would leave us out to die, you know what I mean, for the smallest thing, all for your own selfish purposes. Okay, so this point brings me back to the Christopher Hitchens argument that I was making in the second one, because one of the things that Christopher Hitchens says is he acknowledges that he grew up Marxist. Like he says, he thinks very Marxist like, because that's how he was raised. That's what most of his education was like. So, you can't really take that away from him. And he was just saying that in the realm of saying that, like, he was actually taking accountability for why he thinks the way that he thinks. And, this is completely understandable in terms of, again, right? I mean, like, yes, like I said, I don't understand why you would want to be a slave. I don't understand why you would want to relinquish your capacity to think for yourself. But when that's all you know, and that's the foundation of your education, then it's understandable, but it's far more respectable for you to be able to say, oh, well, maybe I'm wrong, but that's the foundation of my life. Like, that's so much more respectable than you continuing to try to fish for reasons or justifications to be what you are when you know deep inside yourself that it's wrong, because you do know it's wrong. But anyway, let's get back to the discussion. And that is the thing that is so shocking. These are the types of things these types of things are the reason why our society is as divided as it is today, and why there's so much confusion and why there's so much messed up. They do not face real consequences. You know what I'm saying? Like as much as Stoics are, you want to say, oh well, Stoics are all about objectivity and not about feeling. Well, consider the fact that we didn't kill you. Consider the fact that we didn't destroy you, that we didn't let you go for being fucking retarded. How about that? You know? So anyway, yeah, I can't even speak on these ideas of Epicurus not approving of sex and getting married and having children and all these type of things, even though other philosophers have clearly contradicted that, saying that he was licentious, that he was just the epitome of wickedness and just overall just advocating for obscene things and all. We can't even really verify that because they've destroyed so many of his works. You know what I mean, over the course of history. You know, she highlights this idea of Epicure. She likes this whole, oh well, his diet was bread and water, but he says, oh, fetch me a pot of cheese and all this type of stuff. That's a very moderate lifestyle. Like, bro, it's antiquity. They didn't have like boba and fucking drunken noodles and fucking you know Big Macs and all type of shit. Like, we're talking about a time where it was still highly likely that you would have to see the slaughter, you know what I'm saying, of animals or something, right? Where like you had to like go head out and get your food. You couldn't just order it off your Amazon Fresh or your Hello Fresh or whatever the fuck, you know what I'm saying, you have, you know? Consider the fact that again, life is so much bigger than you. There's a history, hundreds of thousands of years of it. You know what I mean? A lot of it destroyed, or even consider the fact that writing itself didn't come into a thing until about 10,000, 15,000 years ago or something like this. So but there is so much, you know what I mean? And it's taken for granted by these hedonistic types. You know what I mean? These people who intentionally abandon reason, you know what I mean, and their capacity to think, and just generally do not value, other people for real. They'll value the people who give them things, right? Who allow them to sustain their lives of slothfulness, you know what I mean? And pridefulness and all this type of stuff. They'll gladly subscribe to that and hold on to that. But in reality, if it was let go from them, oh, they would have to abandon them first. Yes, they would get rid of them. Yes, and hang them out to dry and all this type of stuff. But if they really were placed in a position to have to be alone, to have nothing, then they would finally come to understand and see and be unless they kill themselves. That which would be even more helpful, honestly. Like if you just fucking just killed yourself, honestly, that would be good. Because yeah, it's probably is at a certain point, you know what I mean, where you just can't be saved anymore. You know, and some truly are just so wicked, that they really don't learn. They do a little bit, they do just enough to play a part or whatever to get it right, and then as soon as they're back in the position, they go right back into being hedonists and irresponsible and all of this type of shit. And yeah, so it'd be best if many of them would just like fuck off. You feel me? But anyway, yeah. So this is kind of my response on the Stoicism versus hedonism argument. A bit heated, I talk how I talk because I've seen what I've seen, and I'm not the only person. I have thousands of years of information, of knowledge, a thorough understanding, a thorough, deep empathy for other people, for life, for history. You know what I mean? For the opinions and perspectives of others, for God, for reality and the truth. That allows me to speak in this way. It sounds harsh, but who cares? These people are harsh, and there's no reason why our world is the way that it is, especially considering the fact that everybody wants to be considered intelligent, everybody wants to be considered wise. Nobody wants to admit that they're dumb. Nobody wants to say that they didn't do the work. Nobody wants to say that they don't care. You know what I'm saying? For real. Nobody wants to say that they haven't been doing what they're supposed to be doing. You know what I mean? Um, but yeah, until the next one, I strongly encourage you to grab my book, Judgment Day. Okay. It's a wonderful, wonderful book. It'll help you get, one of the first legs of fundamental understandings of why I think the ways that I do and how I see the world the way that I see it. It's on Amazon Kindle right now. Paperback versions will be out soon. And Stay blessed. Those with ears, let them hear.